Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I am Conrad, and this is the Footy Five. Back with Week 10 preview of the three matches that we picked. We did better than the last few times we've had, plus two other things of note from the Premier League weekend. So far, this weekend, both of us 2-1. Much better. Call that a win. I'm still desperate for it to go perfect one of these weekends. I need it.
Neither of us have. I think it's elusive. I think it's actually impossible to do.
We're picking 3 games. I mean, it's not like we're trying to solve physics problems here. It's picking proper matches of football. Up to 13 and 18, Jack, to 17 and 14. On to the matches. The marquee setup for the week. Liverpool home to Spurs. Liverpool take this one 2-1. Sit on 28 points, first place. Spurs drop to 11th by not actually adding any points. Interesting match. I got this one on the nose. Score-wise, both of us had this going to Liverpool. You with a slightly larger edge. I think both surprised to see that goal inside 47 seconds. Heung-min Son deflect, off the crossbar. Harry Kane there to clean up the mess and put Spurs up 1-0 early.
Yeah, it was. What I really like about that match is Spurs got highly fortunate to get that first goal, but it wasn't their only chance the entire game. Obviously, they made a few ones. Heung-min Son is always a great creator. Eriksen didn't have a great night, but he was able to get one or two chances.
Yeah, didn't show up.
Yeah, Ali, bit of a ghost as well. But you look already, you can see here that they went there to try and defend, and that early goal really kind of compounded that idea that let's try and defend against Liverpool at Anfield, and they did a pretty valiant job. I think that they did good in a lot of regards in that first half. They limited them in a lot of ways, but at the same time, you wonder. I feel like my prediction could have been closer to being right if
it could have been 7-1.
If Gazaniga did not stand on his head at moments in that game, because he was phenomenal in that. And I think that was the difference. Ultimately, it was, I think, a good tactic, but Liverpool were beating it at times because of a higher amount of quality in their team. And the only thing that really kind of kept Spurs in the match for most of it was a great goalkeeping, honestly.
No, absolutely true. I mean, we were texting throughout this match, and at the very, very beginning, in the outset, Liverpool were frustrated by the way Spurs were playing because they looked a lot like United in the 1-1 draw 2 weeks prior, or 1 week prior, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I mean, Liverpool dominant with 68% possession, 21 shots, 13 on target, and as you mentioned, Gazaniga just insane. Harry Kane's quote here was kind of strange after the match. He's like, Liverpool getting all them breaks and chances and all luck going their way at the moment. The Spurs were lucky, as I said, to not be down in this game 5-1, if not for Paulo Gazaniga, 12 saves, the most since De Gea had 14 back in 2017. I mean, that's just an astonishing number for a guy who's been with Spurs since 17 and just he hasn't had that many opportunities. And to do that against that team, granted, Liverpool's finishing was atrocious at times, but...
Exactly. I mean, I think that, interestingly, is he's replacing Hugo Lloris because of the injury to the goalkeeper. But from Spurs fans, there was interest in, can we make this guy our long-term goalkeeper? Can we say, hey, let's have this guy be the future and put him in already? And so they have forced him into this movement, and he's stepped up brilliantly. There's probably a handful of places that are more difficult to play as a keeper than probably at Anfield. And he
not in the Premier League, I don't think.
Yeah, he lost the game, but it was no fault of his own.
No, he did everything he could. I mean, the penalty that was conceded late on, I don't think was a penalty. I think Mane cleverly gets himself in between Aurier's foot and the ball and gets hit. There is contact for sure, but I don't think you can blame Aurier for that. He doesn't know he's coming from behind and he's going to be there.
Honestly, balls that close to the goal, defender is second to it. There's contact. It was very blatant contact. There was no intention, but he did bring him down in the box. I think there's always an argument for that. But Spurs fans will probably feel a little hard done by that. That was the way that they got broken down. It wasn't by some good move by Liverpool. It's the fact that they got a little unfortunate and the referee sided against them.
But again, these matches, like against these top teams, are defined by luck in a lot of ways, and not necessarily Gazaniga wasn't lucky to save the 12 shots. You're not lucky by doing that.
Yeah.
Fabinho, it seems like every time Liverpool play, we're talking about Fabinho just being a monster, and he's just been unbelievable in that holding role, and still orchestrating as well. I mean, he's just a phenomenal player for Liverpool. Numbers
exactly. I think
are bonkers.
He's been so good, honestly. I know that Emery was comparing, I believe it was Ceballos and Pepe to him in terms of their development trajectories, and it showcases give a player time, don't force them into anything, and reduce the fan pressure upon a player, and they'll eventually come good. Liverpool knew what they were getting from Monaco when they bought him, and he has turned out phenomenally. He's making an argument for one of the best defensive mids, not just in the league but in the world. And
the ball into Henderson for the equalizer was majestic. I mean, it was beautiful.
A bit of fortunate defending from Rose there, but forced the issue. Henderson followed up, and that's what Liverpool got back in the game.
You know, this is a crazy statistic from Opta-Joe. At home, when Liverpool concede first, they are unbeaten in 10 matches. That's, I mean, again, it's they say their classic one-liner here, fortitude, but that's just not something that you see happen. You know, 10 times conceding
so
first and coming away with 6 wins, or each of the last 6. They've won 7 and drawn 3.
And that's the championship mentality we've talked about. Can you get those results when they're up against it?
You mentioned Rose, and we talked about Aurier, talked about Eriksson. This seems to be, at Mark Banamran. Say that 5 times fast. I still got it wrong. Banamram. There we go. This is the sentiment. Eriksson, Rose, Aurier, just get out. Because Eriksson clearly does not want to play. He's just not looked at all like the Eriksson of old. Rose is error-prone. Aurier does not put himself in the best of positions. And as a result, the Spurs are down 9 away matches thus far this year in a row that they've lost.
That's just a tough stat to look at. And I think that the big thing for Spurs fans that they point out is in 2016-2017, that season, they had Kyle Walker on the right-hand side and a younger Denny Rose on the left-hand side. That was when they played their best attacking football, when they had 2 attacking fullbacks who were both competent in their jobs. They sold Walker to Manchester City, and Denny Rose aged. And now
he got old quickly. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so people want a new, fresh injection of not just young talent, but new talent in the squad to try and get new players to motivate, because that's been the issue is stagnation in both the talent and the motivation in the Spurs side. There's definitely tons of talent, like one of the best teams in the Premier League, but they just can't capitalize it because they're just exhausted mentally. I think that's one of the most simple ways to describe it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I don't think Pochettino's not able to get through these guys anymore because there's been so little turnover. It's been remarkable how they've been able to keep that squad together, and ordinarily you think that builds chemistry, but in this case it feels like it's built burnout.
Exactly.
On to Burnley-Chelsea at Turf Moor. Chelsea take this one 4-2, leaving Burnley 12 points, 13th place. 20 points for Chelsea remaining in 4th. Chelsea continue to surprise maybe everyone except for Chelsea themselves.
Yeah.
I had it 2-0, you had it 2-1, got the result right. Certainly didn't see Pulisic doing what Pulisic did. We figured he might have a shot at starting, but the perfect hat trick was majestic. It was wonderful to see. Feel really great for him.
Exactly. He has shown glimpses in the brief times he's been on the field, but he hasn't been given a consistent time on the field to run and to really flourish. He got that today, and he was able to showcase how talented he is, and a huge result for him. And the entire American soccer audience, absolutely ecstatic.
Proper football.
Just absolutely ecstatic.
Farouk, if I butchered that last one, Farouk Yahaya. I tried saying this one in the run-up, and I kept putting the H in the wrong place. But again, 3 phenomenal firsts. First goal, first brace, first hat trick. And then, again, Opta-Joe coming in for us he's only the second American behind Clint Dempsey, who did this back in 2012, for the hat trick. So good on him. Feel really good for him.
Yeah, he's showcasing that he had a lot of pressure on him, and every time he has one of these performances, he validates the faith his manager has in him, and he dispels the criticism that he has against him. And that is that he was overpriced, that he was not worthy of the position in his squad or the amount of money he was bought for, and all that gets dispelled whenever he scores a hat trick like this. And he carried them to this result against Burnley.
So that's 7 in a row for Chelsea. Look, this validates Lampard's approach and how he's handling the young players. Pulisic among them. He said, look, he's 21. It's the Chelsea shirt. Yes, it's a big fee, but give him time. And he's never felt like he had to, or he's never seemed like he's defending what he's doing. He's just saying, this is what I'm doing. And, you think, okay, David Luiz, exactly. He's just like, look, we're going to do this way, and I don't care to explain myself to you, the media. But losing Luiz, it's arguable whether that was a loss. But then Conte, Rudiger, Emerson, Loftus-Cheek, Hazard gone to Madrid, the transfer ban, and yet he's got this team 4th in the league. Yeah. He's the right guy, and everybody had doubts.
I think that he is in about the same spot that Manchester United and kind of Arsenal are, where they're really in a limbo. They're trying to make a transition from one old group of players into a new one. And the way he's doing it is he's doing it with results during the same time. Manchester United are not. Arsenal are struggling as well. Spurs are really struggling as well. And that's why he is just showcasing his talent as a manager. There was a lot of doubts about him as well. And every time that he makes one of these gambles and it pays off, it makes him look even better. And he has stepped up to the weight of the managerial position very well, and he's proven, and he has dispelled any doubts, honestly, that I really had. Not to say that he's going to be an instantaneous trophies first year success instantaneously, but you can see a vision with the club, and you can see a positive growth.
There's a plan, and again, I think this has been said, we've talked about it, but the transfer ban maybe was the best thing to happen to Chelsea because it forced them to use these young players, absolutely, and they've come through for him, and they've all been chomping at the bit for this opportunity. And he's indulged them and given them every opportunity and supported them along the way. It's great on Frank Lampard, super Frank. All right, Norwich, Man United. 3-1. This one ended to United. That moved them from 14th to 7th place just by picking up 3 points on 13 points. And Norwich remain in 19th on 7 points simply because Atford still can't win and remain rooted to the bottom of the table. So we got this.
I had a lot of faith.
Wrong.
I had a lot of faith.
I didn't have quite as much, but I had more.
But
But United looked very good in this. Granted, they're playing against Norwich, who aren't very good, but they look great except on the penalty kicks. But we'll get to that in a second here. 3 goals, 3 points, job done. Yep, about as simple as you can make it. I don't know if this takes any pressure off of them because it's given the opposition, but interesting numbers here. McTominay's goal in the first half, thing of beauty. Also, they're 2,000th in the league, which is they're the first club to do that. That's a big number. I mean,
that's a big number. Goals. That's what happens when you have Sir Alex Ferguson for so long, dominating for
Fergie time. And I wonder how many of those 2,000 came in the last 5 minutes of matches.
That'd be a good stat to figure out in the last 30-odd years since the Premier League's been around.
But Martial obviously making that attack look much, much better. He and Rashford very fluid. This Danny Higginbotham, we've got a quote from him a couple times here, but they just look that much more fluid. Even though their midfield's still a little stuck in the mud at times, that attack looked great. And Rashford, this is a crazy number when you think about everything he's been through there.
Exactly, yeah. And it was always confusing whenever you would see Rashford I think he has a potential as a striker. He's just a little raw right now. He's got a lot of pace. He lacks a bit of finishing quality and doesn't have the best instincts. And that doesn't lead to great faith from fans. But I think that he's definitely got great potential. But when you have Martial and him, they're both super difficult players to defend, especially simultaneously. They're quick, they're able to get in behind, and they're able to be clinical and punish you for any sort of brain lapse for however short, because they're just that quick and technical players. And they are making up that hole. Selling Romelu Lukaku was the right decision, but not replacing him with a striker immediately left them a bit of a hole. If they can begin to perform Martial and Rashford, it'll make them forget about their lack of striker depth, and they'll be able to kind of limp through until the next transfer window.
Well, we talked about they hadn't. The question that somebody had posed out on Twitter, is it illegal for Man United to score more than one goal? And this is the first time they scored more than one since that opener against Chelsea.
Broke the rules.
So they got it done.
Exactly.
So their penalty woes continue. They continue to get them and draw them, but they can't convert them. Both Martial and Rashford missed here. I shouldn't say missed because Tim Krul, this will be our second Van Gaal call out. And he, back in the World Cup in 2014, he subbed Krul on for penalties against Costa Rica.
Just penalties.
And he stopped 2 of them, and they advanced. They moved on.
Tim Krul is one of those goalies where he really understands the mentality, and he has a lot of confidence when they go up to the spot. And honestly, obviously, if you're a United fan, you don't like seeing the fact that you missed 2 penalties.
No.
But you scored still 3 goals. So you'll look at that and you say, okay, well, if we score 2 of those, that's 5 goals. Like, that's a great result. Like, we're that close to being a dominant team on the offensive end. Just had to be a bit more clinical.
Absolutely true. 2 other things. We will start out with one of our favorite players to talk about, if not our least favorite player to watch play, Granit Xhaka. Has been having a rough go. Arsenal fans let him know that they weren't pleased about his performance as he was coming off, and he told the fans in very direct terms what he thought about that, and you can't do that the way he did it. Honigstein's quote here, or his comment here, is correct. Yes, he does deserve an opportunity to defend himself, but not the way that he did it. The manner in which he did it just showcases his hot-headedness and just ill-tempered nature.
I think that it's entirely possible for both sides to be wrong here. I think that Xhaka is the captain. He should have handled it better. But at the same time, he's dealt with a lot of fan abuse, honestly, over the past couple of weeks, where they've been booing him, they've been frustrated with his performances online, and there's no way he's immune to that and doesn't see it. He's just as human as all the fans who go up to watch that game. But I think that both of them were a bit out of line, and both of them need to correct themselves a little bit. Yes, Granit Xhaka is not the dominant player that Arsenal want to be their captain, but fans need to get over that, honestly. They need to recognize that there's a line when raising your discomfort, your unhappiness with player performance, toes the line and crosses it into being negative for both the player and for your fan base as a whole. Because it's a game at the end of the day. And obviously when you're not winning, it's not as fun.
They're in 5th place.
But Granit Xhaka is a great leader for that team. And that should be respected, honestly. And it's in a tough situation for Emery to deal with. And he hasn't shown flying colors in the way he's handled it either.
No, he's had some issues. His press conference, he talked about Xhaka being devastated and unhappy, and that he's not going to play in the League Cup match this week against Liverpool. You don't know what to believe, how good or bad Xhaka feels. Obviously, I'm sure he has remorse. He has not said anything publicly to the fan base, good or bad, apologizing or not apologizing. I don't know whether he should. I think he should say something as the leader of that club to say, look, I understand fans are unhappy with certain things. I can't react that way, but at the same time, I'm not happy being put in that position, right? And it's
a very valid response from him, and I think that, again, there needs to be some concessions from both sides because Arsenal have much deeper issues than just Granit Xhaka being their captain. They need to get better results.
They're 5th place.
And this Xhaka thing is masking the issue that they went up 2-0 at home versus a team who's been performing well in Crystal Palace, but you should not be going and being scared and going on the back foot against them. You should be staying on the front foot, staying in a position where you're not going to be allowing them to get back in the match. You see the mistake, they give them the penalty, and then it felt inevitable, honestly, and that's the worst thing that can happen for your club is when it's inevitable that you're not going to be able to come away.
Is that the Guendouzi tackle?
I believe the foul was Chambers, but it was.
Guendouzi got a card then. It wasn't. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that was the penalty. I just remember
Guendouzi had the rugby tackle at the end of the game, if I remember correctly. Where
that's right.
Like I got past him, we kind of just grabbed him.
He looked like a linebacker. I mean, in American football.
Those are the good moments.
So this tweet here from Lacaz ZTE, will sack Emery when it's too late. Players would have had enough by then. Deflated the thought of another year without Champions League football. Again, 5th place. There's a lot of overreaction happening here, but it is a problem. If they don't make the Champions League squad or Champions League places, I think Aubameyang, Lacazette, and maybe Xhaka have clauses in their contracts where they can walk.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed about this is that there is a fundamental desire for a higher standard to be held at the club. And from the fans especially, they want to say, we're not happy with, we're scraping top 4 again. And so when you're slightly underperforming, they want to keep the fire on. They want to give less patience because they have been more patient in recent years. And it's tough to figure out which is the right approach to take. But I think that it's Arsenal. Emery is, I think, in the Athletic beat reporter articles, they say that there's no question that he is remaining in the job for at least the end of the season. But I think there should be more pressure on Emery, honestly. I think that he's been underperforming for the amount of talent that he has. And I think that this is a top 3 caliber squad. This is the squad that is closest to challenging with Manchester City and Liverpool out of the other top 6 clubs.
I'm not sure about their defense.
I think that they have that much talent. Maybe not enough defensive talent for that, but they have so much talent that they should be making somewhat of a product that looks more appealing.
Their center backs, we've made fun of them. We've talked about them both seriously and humorously. Socrates and Luiz, oddly enough, are the only 2 goal scorers for Arsenal in this match, and that's kind of a makeup for all the goals they've conceded, either on penalties or just poor defending. That's their problem right now is their ability to defend, and then just consistency.
And speaking of a lack of ability to defend,
oh boy, Southampton home to Leicester 9 times. 9 times Southampton conceded.
I wasn't watching this match. I stepped away, and then I came back seeing no updates for the game, and I'm wondering, how's this game going? And I opened it, and I had a visceral reaction when I saw 8-0 in the 85th minute. I was confused as to how there were 8 goals scored by an away team
in a Premier League game. That's unbelievable.
I was stunned. I think Southampton were as well. Like, yeah, you went down a man very early, but there's no way that the 12th minute. There's no way the goal quality is that high that you just.
I mean, I didn't see the match either. I read a little bit about it afterwards. All accounts say that Southampton just played with zero heart. They just didn't show up.
When you watch the highlights, it's a great attacking movement from Leicester. So credit to Brendan Rodgers for coaching up another phenomenal squad. He does well wherever he goes. He's gotten a lot of stick from his last job before the Celtic one at Liverpool, and the way that ended. But he's always built up a good squad.
Nearly won the league.
Yeah, he nearly won the league with Liverpool. He built a good mid-table side with Swansea. He had Celtic going undefeated throughout the season before he left to go join Leicester towards the tail end of about a season ago. But I think that he's done a great job. Southampton just were tired without a man down, and there was a mental
they just switched
exhaustion.
Off.
They switched off the entire game.
You saw more emotion out of that team in the press conferences afterwards and all their commentary. I mean, those guys were gutted. Like, they felt terrible. We'll touch on that in a second, but this was just funny. The trouble with 9-0 is that it's 8 goals too many that you could have used somewhere else. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, but funny nonetheless from Max Rushton. Grosvenor Sport. Hey, yeah, some bounce back ability. Oh, they lost today to City. I don't know who 3-1. City fielded 3-1, and then they've got them again on Saturday. So that's a terrible way to away to City. Both matches are away to City. Yeah. I wonder if they go home in between.
You'd hope, yeah.
But so again, the emotion and just how these players and the staff felt, they all donated their match checks to, I don't know what else you can do other than say we're not good enough. It was a great gesture, but
there's no way that you can have fans go to that match, spend, I don't know how much ticket prices are in England for local fans, spend X amount of money on a ticket, go travel, watch this team, and then the players walk home with their paychecks, and they're saying, did our job today? Because you didn't do your job. Your job is to win football games, and you did probably the exact opposite of that, about as far opposite as you can get.
And I think the emotion afterwards, it it was heartwarming to see in a sense because you just felt how bad they felt for the supporters and how embarrassed they were.
Yeah.
And I think this was the best gesture they could come up with.
You know, honestly, it could be a rallying cry for this squad. It can, honestly,
or a ticket to the
it
basement.
can't get much worse than this. So, what worse can it get? How much worse can it get? So maybe that's the mentality they
They're
adopt.
playing Man City in the league next on Saturday. So it
Well,
can get a lot
can't
worse.
Get worse than 9-0. Maybe they set a record for a home victory. Back-to-back results.
I mean, well, you know, if this match is the reason that Leicester are in third place ahead of Chelsea because of the goal difference. They had a +8 goal differential coming in. Now they have a +17 goal differential.
Double.
All in the backs of one match.
And you think about that and how the ramifications of that in the later season, because Southampton have struggled in the last couple of years. They may be a relegation contending team, and that -9 goal difference could basically mean that you're almost a point deducted. So it almost was a -1 point for them by losing so badly. It was almost +1 point for Leicester.
For Leicester, absolutely.
A 4-point match because they have such a better goal difference now.
That's a crazy result. I don't think. Had we predicted that one, I would have predicted a Leicester win, maybe 3-0, maybe like 4-1.
I would have also probably 2-1, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah, that's very respectable.
Goal, Leicester dominate, score a couple late goals. I would not have seen anywhere near this. Because how good you?
No. All right, well, that does it for this week. Appreciate it. Find us on the Twitter at the Footy Five. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate it. That's all for now. Thank you. Take care.